They said who was going to win between the Saints and the Packers, and that one I just answered in a flash. I said, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers wins tonight. He gets his 126th career win. New Orleans 126." There's a big connection with the Jesuits in 126 too, but it's a lot of steps to explain. But Aaron Rodgers was golden to get his 126th win tonight, and he did. And they really wanted me to pick the Heat-Celtics game, but I said, I gotta be honest with you, this game's kind of dangerous, and sometimes it's dangerous, and I'll tell you why. I said, there's a big riddle with the Heat tonight to close it out. On the Jesuit birthday, and Pat Riley used to coach the Lakers and the Heat, and something we pointed out in the middle of last week doing the Patreon live decode was that today, the day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome in history, today was 191 days after Pat Riley's birthday, September 27th. And of course, Society of Jesus equals 191. And he's from Rome, New York. You know, he's a good Catholic, Pat Riley. And, you know, Lakers, Heat, his teams, well, now they're playing each other in the finals. But this perfect ritual with Pat Riley. There's a good riddle for the Heat to close out the Lakers. But I said, if the Celtics get past tonight, they probably will come back and win the series. 2 years ago, when LeBron first signed with the Lakers, how we knew the Lakers would be in the finals this year. The riddle with LeBron signing on July 1st, a date written 1/7, and how this year's his 17th season, and he can get the Lakers their 17th championship to tie the Celtics, and NBA's 17. Okay, it can be easy to see who the champion is, but which team they're going to advance through, that can be a little bit tricky. And that Pat Riley Jesuit narrative is something else. Today, the 49ers, who were golden to win their game, even with their backup QB, today was 191 days after his birthday, the guy who got to play in place of Jimmy Garoppolo. I didn't have my best day in football. I went 6-3 today, but my top picks were perfect, so that was good. But last week we did a lot better. 6-3 is not bad. I mean, most gamblers, if they place 9 bets and they win on 6, they're happy. We do better. Like last weekend, we did a lot better. What I wrote in the notes is this. Pick. I like that Goff and McVay, that's the quarterback and coach for the Los Angeles Rams. I said I like that they can get their 36th win apiece because they both have the same amount of wins, and Buffalo is 36, and IHS is 36 on this Jesuit day. That's the Jesuit acronym IHS for Isus Hominum Salvator, which equals 266. Like Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope, the 266th pope. But I saw that the Bills coach, it was his 191st day of his age. Before the Heat game started, I was explaining to these kids, I was like, well, already today you've seen 2 people with the 191 connection win today. Pat Riley can become the 3rd, and sure enough, he did. So, and usually that's the way it is. Once a pattern's hitting, that pattern is consistent. There was a lot of big Jesuit rituals today, and I told people the safest pick of this week was the Steelers game, because the Steelers are owned by a Jesuit family, the Rooney family. Well, there was a few safe games. The 49ers were really safe too, but the Steelers had the best Jesuit ritual of the weekend. Tom Brady had the 2nd best. Ryan Tannehill had the 3rd. They all won today. Mike Tomlin today got his 144th career win and Jesuit order, and the most straightforward cipher is 144. So the Steelers, owned by the Jesuit family, the Rooneys, on this very Jesuit day of all days, Mike Tomlin gets his 144th career win. Again, it just goes to show that week after week is perfectly scripted. And again, it's also to show that the Jesuits run the show. And you start to look at professional athletes, it's a very disproportionate amount that went to Catholic and Jesuit schools. And Jesuit programs are known for excellence in athletics, especially at the high school level. You know, also comical. Notice how many points the Celtics went down with tonight. 113. What else is new, right? 113. The National Basketball Association 113. Michael Jordan 113. Kobe Bryant 113. Kobe Bryant passed Jordan in points scored 113 days after his birthday. His retirement poem, Dear Basketball 113. Only one team in the league, 113, the Utah Jazz, who he played his last game against. The Utah Jazz blamed for the coronavirus pandemic in the league, and the league was suspended on 11/3, March 11th. Coronavirus pandemic 113 declared that same day. You know, it goes beyond sports. What's going on in the world of news right now? It's Amy Coney Barrett, the Catholic who went to Notre Dame. But today's the 2-year anniversary of Brett Kavanaugh giving his sexual assault testimony, that he didn't sexually assault Christine Blasey Ford, doing that on the big day for the Jesuits as someone who was educated at Georgetown Prep. Again, the big Jesuit ritual with the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's so clear who runs the show. It is the Jesuits. They really wanted me to give them that Heat pick, One of them really thought the Heat was going to win it, and he was right. And I was like, well, that Pat Riley from Rome, New York, on the day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm just a little bit torn on who LeBron's going to face. So the prediction I made for 2 years ago about LeBron in the finals this year, him facing his old team where he wore number 6, fits in with that riddle we were talking about. Now, 2 years ago, I was thinking that maybe he might face the Heat for his 6th championship. But I think instead they're telling us something about where he's going to in terms of championship wins. He's 3-6 right now, so he's going to get his 4th ring in Orlando like Kobe got his 4th ring in Orlando. The Lakers are on 37 wins all time against Miami. You got to win 4 to win the championship. Tell me who died this year at age 41. Would you tell me? Did the Lakers not just go through the playoffs each round 4-1 as we said they would on the? It's so ritualistic, you guys. Kobe Bryant's 41, dead at 41. Remember, Kobe Bryant 157, dead on his 157th day of his age. LA's 41, and what do they call him? King James, King 41. So the Lakers put up 4 W's, and we got ourselves another King James ritual. It's amazing how they script it year after year. What made it so complicated is had the Lakers played the Celtics, they could have got their 35th playoff win all time against the Celtics. King James equals 35. And remember, the real King James became a Freemason at age 35. And LeBron signed the $154 million contract, and King James is 154. And when he beat the Warriors on the real King James's birthday, June 19, 2016, the Warriors went down with that 89 points on the real King James's birthday. They couldn't have scripted it any better. The day the Lakers advanced, it was 271 days after LeBron's birthday, the day they advanced to the finals. That's the 58th prime. Kobe Bryant's also 58. Los Angeles Lakers 58. The real King James died at age 58. He was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian. Rosicrucian's 58. Secret Society is 58. Freemasonry's 58. The real King James dead at 58. It was also 199 days after Anthony Davis's birthday. He's from Chicago. 199 is the 45th prime. Chicago's 46. LeBron's trying to surpass Jordan in terms of legacy by the sheer amount of championships he took his team to. And again, LeBron wins this year. He's 4-6 in finals. In the King James Bible, Psalm 46, the 46th word from the front is shake, and the 46th word from the back is spear. A lot of people contend that Francis Bacon, who was one of the main editors of the King James Bible, was really Shakespeare. And Shakespeare's got that 187 connection like Society of Jesus. And I know those young gentlemen who went and watched Aaron Rodgers win tonight, I know they're going to be believing a little bit more. You know, you put this information in people's hands and you just let them use it, they'll be able to prove it to themselves. They won't need somebody else to prove it for them. You know, this work speaks for itself if you take the time to listen and pay attention and apply it. Shout out to Arthur. That riddle you found with 213 in the Celtics, I said that could really be all about LA because LA is the 213 area code, like the NBA Finals is 213. And it could be a signal that what they're really communicating is that LA is going to tie Boston. It doesn't necessarily mean that Boston's going to be in the championship. Don't get blindsided by these other teams that have a good narrative. At the beginning of the year, we decoded the NBA season, and we knew it was going to be the Lakers, but we were trying to figure out the narrative for who it was going to be. Well, there was a narrative for the Bucks. There was a narrative for Lakers versus Bucks, Lakers versus Raptors, Lakers versus Celtics, and Lakers versus Heat. And then after the whole Kobe thing, we even had to consider Lakers versus Philly. Now, realize for people out there who don't understand, when you put in a future, and we saw that there could be a Lakers and Heat championship early in the season. So we're like, oh, that might be worth a future too because you want to be covered. So realize, like just say all of those paid about 25-1. If you have 5 bets in that all pay 25-1, if one of them hits, you've made a bunch of money. Because imagine you pay $100 on each of the 5 bets, right? You only need one of them to hit to make $2,500. So you lost $400 on your 4 that didn't hit, but the one that did hit, you get your $100 back and you get $2,500, you see? But sometimes you can see who the narrative is through because the thing is, we're looking for the numbers 35 and 46 for LeBron and the teams that connect through those numbers for the ritual. And all of these teams have that connection. So really the Lakers could play any of those teams and the riddle would fit. It ends up being versus the Heat, who they can pick up their 41st win against in a season that's been all about 41. And Kobe and the King in LA. But again, for people who make fun of this kind of strategy, you're just simply bad at math and logic. And I guess you're not doing what Big Al's been doing for years, making bank off this knowledge. 5 Dimes just a couple weeks ago told all their U.S. customers they're not going to pay out on basketball futures. And just said they're not even paying out on their futures. And that's because a lot of people in this community stood to make a lot of money off these rigged finals. And we've been doing it for years. Ultimately, what I want people to understand is it's undeniable that the Jesuits run the show, from the federal government to the sports games. And you know how year after year they sync it all up in the same old numbers. Heat put up 33 in the first quarter. NBA Finals 33. 125 points. Numerology 125. And that's what it is. Numerology all day. Heat winning 6, 4-2 to face the Lakers. Lakers 42. LeBron James 42. Everybody standing 6 feet apart. You guys notice, like, when you walk around in public, it's like 6, 6, 6. And then you know about, like, Claydex and how that was May 15th, 2018, exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared, simulating a pandemic like this where they rush out vaccines and